July the 29th, 2023. As you're looking at images this evening of the Atlantic Ocean, and in the center, spinning right there and tightening up as the sun is setting and these satellite cameras are switching to infrared, right here is the storm we've been watching. It was a 40% chance, then a 50. Now it's up to a 70% chance of development. Again, right here as the sun is setting, you can start to see some of the thunderstorms that will be associated with this. Again, 70% chance of development unless they just updated that. But the one thing I talked about in the video a couple of days ago about this system was that what would steer it would be the high pressure system over the Atlantic Ocean. And if it stayed solid, then it's going to head straight to the U.S. But it's starting to pull back up. And I tell you how you can see from here is this is the Saharan sand layer right there. Normally it flows across and comes into the Caribbean. It's been here. It's been in the Gulf. It's been across the southern states. They don't talk about it much, but it's been here. Now, what the areas you're seeing here that appear to be that is where the sun's reflecting off the ocean. But this area right there, this finger, is indicating that high pressure is moving back north and is letting all of this energy move north. That means even though we may have a tropical storm turning into possibly a hurricane, it does not look like it's going to affect land, at least not in the eastern part of the U.S. But what it will do possibly will cool some of these ocean temperatures and let it back off a little bit. But again, we're going to look at the maps on this from the National Hurricane Center. But it's tightening up here. Now, I think it's even going to miss Bermuda. I think it's going to move closer. We'll look at the newest map of the thing. But I think that's what we're dealing with, a break in the high pressure system. And these storms would naturally move north by northwest, unless that high pressure is in there. And that's what skirts them across the Atlantic and again into the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. And as we look at the 7-day forecast out of Miami, you can see we have the color coding it changes. You get out of the 40-50%, you're into the red. But 70% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. It says disorganized cloudiness and showers located about 1,100 miles east of the Leeward Islands are associated with a tropical wave and broad area of low pressure. Environmental conditions are forecast to be favorable for gradual development for the system during the next few days, and a tropical depression is likely to form during the early part of next week. The disturbance is expected to move northwestward at about 15 miles per hour during the next day or so, and then turn more northward, as you can see in the curve, over the central tropical or subtropical Atlantic by late Monday or Tuesday. So it looks like, other than shipping interest, things like that, the storm will be not a danger to land, which, guys, we want these things to come in and cool it off. And if they skirt a little closer, you get a little cooler close to the land masses. But right now, it's going to be a safe storm, it looks like. Now, we're nowhere near the peak of hurricane season yet, but we are into it. So this is what they're predicting over the next 7 days. And that's what Don did. Remember the storm that sat out there, it seemed like, for a week or two? And I think because of that, this one will be called Emily, if I'm not mistaken, if it does form into a tropical storm. But notice the African coast to the right. There's important news that's come out of Africa, if you've been paying attention to it, whether it's European news or whatever it is, that France, Macron's France, has been completely kicked out of Africa. And that's a lot of territory, and they were colonizing just like many other people have Africa, whether it's France, Spain, England. The U.S. has been there many times, but they kicked them completely out. Russia stepped in and forgave billions of dollars of debt, told them they were going to help set up their infrastructure because they have the resources to build steel and things like that with, and do trading. As a matter of fact, Putin told them that he was going to ship them a lot of this wheat that we're talking about, the embargoes are on and the ports have been destroyed, that he's going to give them that free. starting this deal out. And he's a smart chess player. He knows that as the U.S. is panicking, and they did not want Africa to welcome Putin there at all, and they really were pushing against it, the folks in the U.S., Blinken and that bunch. So anyway, they knew they were losing ground. The African nations are going against the U.S. dollar, going with the BRIC system, and Putin has stepped in with a trading partner. And as a matter of fact, yesterday the Russian stock market reached one of its highs of all times. It's not like here. But here, guys, if you've been watching the stock market for a long time, you notice some things you can learn from it, like banking collapses, which there was a new one today or yesterday. And but the stock market is not tied to our economy. The economy is in a much worse situation than what the stock market appears. A lot of that's propped up, people buying stock back and so forth. And it's disconnected from the real economy of the U.S. So as people look at the stock market and say, well, everything's fine. But guys, the cars are not selling. People, again, have maxed out their credit cards, and they were borrowing money to pay the next month's bills because the economy's so bad, inflation's crushing everyone. And so what did Biden do about it this week? He's sending another $345 maybe $1 million to Taiwan to help them prop up against China or prop up their military or whatever, and who knows where that money will end up. But things are not going good for the imperial nations that we see in the UK, the US, France, Spain, and people that just about every nation has trekked into Africa to steal resources or whatever. I mean, it goes back a long time. So we're starting to see the world wake up and realize where Babylon is. It's not just in the map, in the nation you see to the left. It's worldwide. We're one of the leaders, but look at England, look at France, look at what's going on in those places, just as bad as it is here, if not worse, because the control situation, especially with your protective gear, you understand what I'm saying. So the Babylon is worldwide. Now, again, I wouldn't doubt if there was a capital, you'd probably be looking at it there on that map to the left, but that is coming to the light. In other words, someone may want to look up that verse and put it in the comments, but before the end of time, all of these crimes will be revealed to us. All of the things, all the evil will be revealed in these end times. So, and look at how fast, unless you're reading mainstream media, again, one of the sites that I like to look at for this type of information, and you can get it from RT or from TASS, but again, the warnews247.gr has a lot of important information, and a lot of it now has a lot of mention of what's going on in Africa. It's a complete switch. Putin is coming there helping them. Wants to be a fair trading partner with them. He knows he can trade them food for steel. He's going to help them build their mills, just things like that, while other people we know are trying to destroy everything in their path. And, a lot of people have said that Putin's being used by God to not only expose this evil, because how many years ago, guys, would you have not believed what we're seeing now, that more people in favor of Russia than the U.S. You couldn't imagine it, because the narrative has been so bad for so long against Russia. And movies have been made about it. Think about it. Boxing movies, war movies, go back to the Cuban Missile Crisis and way before that. And so that all of that's been put in place, and we still see it with people around us that don't understand what's going on. They are proud U.S. citizens and patriots just like we are. A lot of them don't see what is really happening, and they're going to be caught by surprise when it all hits the fan. Everything's changing and things are being exposed. And it's, to be honest with you, the swamp is in freak out mode. Look at some of the things that Blinken and that bunch are saying, and what's going on. Again, all of our money being shipped overseas, probably in a loop tied to whoever is where is, you know who. Anyway, we're watching this, guys. You watch it. I wanted to mention that storm, and more than anything, I wanted to talk about what we just talked about. But again, someone put in the comments about that Bible verse where all things will be brought to light. And that's nowhere near verbatim. I could look it up, but it's been a long day, and I like it when you guys do it because people look there and comment, and it spreads a lot of information and a lot of good news. We're watching it. You guys watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.